Howdy everybody, welcome back. 2025, wrapped another year in the books. It has been a while since I've been in the shop. Hectic December, work, family, all the good holiday events, multiple Christmases, all the good stuff. So pretty much haven't been to the shop since I put the last video out on building the doors for the buggy here. So finally getting back to it. And let me show you how I am intending to do this here. All right, so where I left off, I had about a bazillion clamps holding this thing in, and I was talking about how I was going to be utilizing these barrel hinges right here off of trailer doors, and then this guy right here, which is off one of the off-road fab pages. Just a spring-loaded, I can't really do that one-handed, but it's spring-loaded. It's like a slam latch pin. Oh, there we go. Voila. And I'm gonna suicide mount these things. So the hinges are gonna go on the back. The slam latch is gonna go on the front, just for fun. Plus, depending on how it swings down, maybe the wife can use it as a ladder. But got all my, we're going to call them door gaps, kind of lined in about as good as I can get them, with a little bit of twist that is in this, and then also the A pillar and the B pillar. After I welded this guy all up on a flat surface, I realized that these are on two different dimensions. I don't remember what the angle is of this bar leaning inboard. And you'll probably, yeah, you can kind of see a difference there. The door's a little bit in the way. Maybe we'll be able to see it on this side. That A pillar and B pillar don't quite jive. So playing with a little bit of angle, kind of splitting the differences on things. And then I was trying to figure out how to keep it in here. So I ended up tacking a couple of little plates in. I had some shims all duct taped up in here. Kind of trying to shim the door gap and keep everything consistent. And I said, how am I going to do that and then get the shims out and hold everything in place? And I decided to cut a couple of tabs, tack weld it all into place. I'll mount the hinges, cut the tabs loose, and see what it does. So go from there. That's next step. All right, so I am absolutely positive that this is a terrible idea in one way or another, but everything's tacked into place, and I've got suicide doors. Check that out. So like I say, I just got the hinges tacked into place right now, and that is how those guys are going to be working out. Like I say, I am absolutely positive this is, in one way or another, a very bad idea. But the wife has always wanted suicide doors on one of our cars. Obviously, she was talking like a Lincoln from back in the old days, but she just get it on a Jeep instead. All right, so what I'm doing here is I am doubling up the roll cage tubing right here. This spring latch that I showed you guys a few times is going to pass through the tubing right here and engage into a hole that I drill in this roll cage here. And that gets that like 3/8-ish, 5/16 size pin. And then on the inboard side, we'll see how much wiggle I've got, but I've got the two screws here, or bolts, that I'm using for the roll cage. If I need to run a little rubber bumper to put some tension on the door to keep it from rattling inside this hole, I can maybe just fab something up off of that dash bracket that I've got in there. So that's what I'm coming up with, at least. All right, so sorry about the welder running in the background. That probably like burned your eardrums out listening to the fan running on that thing. I got that little, wherever it is, that bracket welded in, or that reinforcement plate. And then I started looking at this thing. I've got total failure on the launch pad. So let me show you why. So I intended to pass this thing through that tube into a hole right there. Well, if you look at the dimensions of this thing, you can't do that. So I would bury the nut inside the tube to get any protrusion out here. So I think I done gone and screwed up, George. So I'm gonna hop back on the old internets and see if they have one of these out there in existence with a longer barrel on it to pass through the tubing. 1 3/4 tubing. I need at least a 2-inch barrel. I would love to maybe have a 2 1/4-inch barrel. That way I can, you know, leave it sticking out the backside. I've got a little bit of real estate there that I can protrude it out the front side just to give nice, you know, fillet weld on it and go from there. So back to the drawing board. All right, so it's getting interesting now. So what I have done so far is I've continued with my original thought process here, right? So I've got the slam latch piece in there. It's not engaging all the way. And if I take the handle off, set that down, I can't push that in any further. So I'd have to just ream this hole out a little bit. I think it's because it's 2 steps or 2 pieces of material when I pass the drill through. I haven't deburred anything yet, but that is actually working as it's designed to do. Ejecto pino. All right, so what I can do, I've got 2 options here now that I'm up to. This pin goes in like so, and it's supposed to flush itself up with the inside of this barrel. So I'm gonna put this in backwards, but when it's installed, that ring that's machined into this pin would theoretically, actually, let me pass it through the right direction, would sit like so. If I cheat it in just a little bit, I still get quite a bit of quality engagement there. So I'm engaging both pieces, etc., etc. So I can slip that in, close it, and slide that through. What that does is, because the nut is not seated on the barrel that's hiding in here, the barrel is actually hitting the tubing about like so. Then that's not allowing the seat to close. So I thought, well, I could always just cut a piece of sleeve and square this out a little bit on the inside with a slug and weld that all together. Or I could recess this and give a nice flat, something like that. So this might turn into a little bit of a game of die grinder. But I think I'm gonna continue running with this idea, and then I can weld all the way around the edge of this, clean it all up. And then the inside of this piece, actually that's got a real short barrel on it as well. The way it's sitting right now, I don't have a whole lot of thread engagement. So I think I'm gonna take the tubing and open it up a little bit more, and maybe look at actually opening it up to the point that I can lay a piece of flat plate, kind of a fish plate into it, and try and get this surface of the tube flushed up with the surface of the barrel. So turn it into way more work than I wanted to. So FYI, if you're going to do this, don't run an 1 3/4 wall or post tube in your at least in your front door post. Maybe use like 1.5 inches or something like that. So that'd be a little less work in this respect, and it would probably pass through. So I got some die grinding to do there because that's a snug fit the way I drilled and ground that out. So still plugging. All right, so what I've come up with here is I took that original barrel and started looking for something to sleeve it to a larger diameter. And that collar that is tack welded, just some cold tack welds on the backside so I didn't disturb the threads inside of it. That collar is a piece of 1.5 inch quarter wall DOM that I made all my links out of. Had that laying around, so cut a little sliver of that off, made a collar, and then that collar, this is gonna look like a woodchuck chewed through it, but I was struggling to work with it. That collar or ring, actually did I cut two? No, I just cut one. But that collar is going to lay down inside of here. So that shortened up the distance from this side of the pipe tube, this side of the tube, to this side where it comes out when it comes back in. So I love suicide doors. That is just too cool. So yeah, so that collar will recess that that slug that gets welded in. Then that'll allow the pin to reach all the way, and the flat that collar creates is going to create that recess so the handle threads on all the way. So making some progress. All right, so here's where I'm going to leave things off today. I got the hinges welded in. I got a little cleanup work to do there yet, and I got that door latch figured out. So I didn't end up buying anything else. I got some welding to clean up and go over just to smooth this all out. But I got this guy plated, so it's double thick. And then I actually might even close the gap a little bit more with another piece, but it would be nice to leave some real estate here, because if that starts to wear out, I can bore through this, sleeve that with something like hardened. Well, once you weld it, it's not going to be hardened, but maybe thread it and tap it and put something in there, put a collar in it. And then I got this recessed here, push through. So literally, voila, door latches. And that guy swings back like that. I still got some cleaning up to do here, some finish welds, top side. There's that. Door number one, almost done. I still intend to put some gusseting in there to reinforce what I'll call the armrest portion of the door. And then I got to build filler panels like those to go into these doors. So fun little winter project. It's nice that I am working on a winter project here on the Jeep finally, that like at any given point in time I could pull the project apart and fluff the tires up, check the fluids, and do some winter wheeling if we actually get snow. If you watch my little short that I just put out, there's no snow here. But you know, it's not like, oh my God, I gotta get this thing done and I'm under a time crunch. If I don't get the doors done this winter, I don't get the doors done this winter. So that's just awesome. It's finally awesome to get this buggy to a point that, you know, now I'm just picking away at little projects and trinkets of the build. I still want to mess with some, you know, exhaust and a few other things over the winter, but having doors, I think that'd be pretty cool. So thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, share it. If you like what you see, come back for more. And in the interim, do something cool in your garage. See you next time.